Hi everybody, this review is on a big, bold, beautiful journey. So the plot of this movie is this guy named David, played by Colin Farrell, goes to a wedding for one of his friends, and he meets a lady named Sarah, played by Margot Robbie, and they uh, they kind of debate on wanting to have a relationship, but Sarah's like, nah, I'm not ready for a relationship. So David's kind of shy and he's like, yeah, I don't really want one either. But David is then given a car from a car dealership, and it has a really weird GPS. The GPS really got has guides David to pretty much anywhere just to meet Sarah, and they keep bumping into each other, and they're guided towards each other with the GPS, and they meet up at Burger King, and they're like, isn't it crazy how all this happened? And they find out that right by some odd coincidence they see a magic door just in the middle of the open, and they go through it, and they they go through a lot of doors. Like there's doors all over the world that they go through, and they're like magic doors that are portals to other worlds, and they make them relive a lot of their memories. Like Sarah finds museum paintings she saw with her dad who unfortunately by now has passed away. But all and they go on a lot of fun things, and Sarah like also like relives like her famous movie nights with her friend with her family, etc. So Sarah and David go all throughout those doors and try to figure out like if they're ready for a relationship or not. I was surprised. This movie was actually pretty good. It's obviously it's nothing amazing, but I for a rom-com, I thought this was pretty fun. I think a big part of that is because it was a fantasy movie, and that's definitely something that's a lot more eye-catching and gives you a lot more to talk about, which yeah, there is a lot to talk about in this movie, but I don't want to give away too much detail because there is a lot of really good surprises all throughout this movie. I don't want to give away everything they explore, but I thought it was a really interesting idea for a movie. I know going through magic doors isn't really a new concept. Like Narnia did it, although yeah, that was a wardrobe, but whatever. I guess you could argue Monsters Inc. even did it. Yeah, this is basically a lot. I can't be the only one who saw the trailer for this movie and even jokingly thought, is this a live action remake of Monsters Inc? Because they're just going through doors and portals to other worlds. But it's really neat. It's not even just like, it's not purely just for fun, like a fun popcorn flick. And okay, it's not like a deep film or anything. This movie isn't really anything groundbreaking, but I do think there was a lot of themes and a lot of subject matter in terms of the story that really was dealt with well, because they go through their past, and they even rediscover their old relationships. Like David finds his ex fiance that he was gonna marry, and didn't end up, and Sarah also finds her ex boyfriend. So they kind of feel awkward towards each other. So they feel, should we just explore the doors our own separate ways, or should we just forget the past and just be grateful what we're going forward? It's it's really kind of a a really thought-provoking film about fixing your mistakes. And even though that's not something you can literally do in this fantasy context, or you could just go back in time, but it's very it's a very interesting idea of like, it's kind of like time travel but not really. But like, I guess like you probably saw in the trailer there's that funny where like Colin Farrell's like in high school, and he's like, wait, how old am I? He's like, you're 14. And then Margot Robbie's like, oh, so I was like, oh cool, how old am I don't know, like 40. I'm gonna kill you, like, that part in the trailer. Like, it's like little cute moments like that where like they don't know how reliving these memories work, but it's actually pretty neat. Like the whole thing of how they're exploring their relationships, and David even finds his old high school crush, and he thinks that maybe this is my chance. Maybe Sarah was just a lucky girl I found. Maybe she was just leading me to my true love, but it doesn't work out. And obviously, there's kind of a mix up. Yeah, it does kind of go that traditional stupid rom com where there's a misunderstanding and they kind of argue in the third act. And yeah, sometimes it is a bit of a really dumb by the numbers rom com, but they don't dwell on it too much because this movie's really short. It's only like an hour and a half. So yeah, it really goes by quick. Like it's not like a bore. It's not some type of thing where you're like, okay, okay, I get what's going on. No, it's really fast paced. There's a lot of good fantasy. It's not like in your face, but like even just going through the doors and reliving a lot of moments, and it's not it's not extremely thought provoking, but there's even some sad moments too. Like Sarah even has to Sarah even has to experience his her her father dying and her mother dying in the hospital, and you're like, oh, this is actually pretty sad. It goes to show this time travel stuff or going through these doors isn't all happy and magical. Sometimes reliving your past is scary, and that's a even though it's not an original message, it's a pretty good message to think about. Where yeah, you can't always look back on the past because sometimes it's stuff you don't really want to think about, and that's kind of a good message. I think that's a pretty good message where you can reminisce the past but don't dwell on it too much because it distracts from the future and what your future could possibly bring. And even David like later finds out, like he goes through this wonder and he finds out he's a father, so it's like kind of a weird thing where like you should look forward to the future, and even though you can respect the past, you can't really dwell on it too much and don't give people trouble for it. So it's kind of like a hidden message. Like it's not when I say hidden, I don't mean like they don't beat you over the head saying you should forget about the past. It's not a very one-sided message, but it is a pretty smart moral. Like I know it's probably not original, but I get what they were trying to do. And both the performances are great with Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie. I think they're both very talented actors, and I think they have quite good chemistry with each other. I mean, yeah, they do bicker sometimes. It's a rom com. I get it, but I think for the most part they really pulled it off with each other. And a lot of the other actors, they don't have a lot to do, but when they're there, they're there. It's mostly focused on the two leads. When it's focused on the two leads, I think it's really good. And there's some fun fantasy like uh going time travel stuff with the doors, but they don't dwell on it in your face too much, like I said. But it's kind of a way to get you really thought provoking. It's kind of a way to motivate you to pay attention, like, okay, this is a really intriguing thing. I want to see where they keep going with this. And obviously, like, the outcome and the plot and the morals, like, it's nothing super original or suspenseful, and it's not full of twists, but it was a good likable rom-com. I liked it for what it was. Okay, the trailers that I saw before the movie, I got Eternity. I'm curious about this one. It's with Elizabeth Olsen and Miles Teller, and it's kind of similar to this movie, I guess. Not really. It's kind of about reliving the past a bit. It's where Elizabeth Olsen decides to spend the afterlife with her first husband, or even uh her her current husband, which who was her husband before she passed away. So she has to make a decision: should I choose my first love or my current love? So it kind of feels like a big bold beautiful journey where it's like a message about going forward or going back while having a fantasy scenario, and it might be interesting. I think I might see this one. Anemone and anemone. I think that's how it was spelt. I don't mean like anemone as in like a C and then whatever. It's with Daniel Day Lewis and Sean Bean, and they play these brothers who reunite because one of them is just keeping shelter and he's very isolated, and the other brother reunites with him after so long. It might be okay. I don't know. It might be all right. Maybe I'll just wait for streaming or something, or maybe I'll rent it. I don't know if streaming doesn't always have everything, but maybe it might be okay. I'll see how it turns out. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but it looks all right. Soul on Fire. I'm curious about this one. It's where this kid, he's a survivor of a burn. He's a burn victim, and he like it's a drama where like he tries to get support and stuff. It looks pretty interesting. I actually kind of want to see this one. I don't know when it's out, probably during Christmas cuz a lot of those feel good or even dramatic like kind of sad thought provoking ones come out during the holidays, but I think this one could be good. I'm interested. And I got Anaconda. I've never seen the original Anaconda, although I've heard it's pretty fun in like a dumb stupid way, so that I guess that makes sense cuz this one looks more intentionally funny, I guess. The tone really feels like the Jumanji sequels, which funny enough Jack Black is in this movie. So if it has Jack Black, like I'm sure this movie he'll at least make it a little fun. Like even if the movie will suck, I'm sure like his acting and his performance will be a lot of fun to watch because he brings so much energy and fun into all his roles. You can't just help but smile. And Paul Rudd's in it, and he's also a funny actor, so I'm sure we'll get some good material out of both of them. Like it's like a weird meta film where they try to remake Anaconda and they encounter an actual anaconda. So it's like a weird meta comedy where the Anaconda movie exists in their world, but they're trying to make it. It's kind of weird, but I guess it's supposed to be a comedy, so I guess it only makes sense. So I'm kind of curious about this one. I think it could be good for some laughs. So yeah, a big bold beautiful journey. I actually thought was good. It's not top tier. It's not one of my best films of the year so far. I don't think it's really worth seeing on the big screen fully, even though there's some cool fantasy stuff. But it's like I said, it's not really in your face. But you know what? If you want to see a movie before the year ends, I think this is a good one to check out. Even if you're not into rom coms like me, if you just want to see a fun, neat little fantasy film, I think this does the job well. So, see ya, everybody.